Blackwood Forest. Ancient, imposing, shrouded in unsettling folklore. Derek, Liam and Chloe, three friends seeking adventure, had pitched their tent under its oppressive canopy. A campfire crackled, the only defense against the encroaching darkness. The air was thick with the smell of pine and damp earth. A low mist clung to the forest floor, swirling like phantoms.
You sure about this place, Derek? Don't tell me you're scared.
Derek scoffed, throwing another log onto the fire.
It's just creepy.
Chloe shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. Derek laughed, a forced sound that did little to ease the tension. But even as he laughed, a chill snaked down his spine. He couldn't shake the feeling of unseen eyes, watching them from the darkness. A high-pitched, bird-like whistle pierced the silence. It was the kind of sound that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. A sound that seemed almost too perfect, too deliberate to be natural. It seemed to come from the heart of the forest, echoing around them, bouncing off the trees and creating an eerie symphony that enveloped the group. The forest, usually filled with the comforting sounds of nocturnal creatures, was now a stage for this unsettling melody. Chloe gasped, clutching Liam's arm. Her eyes were wide with fear reflecting the dim light of their campfire. The whistle had an almost hypnotic quality, drawing them deeper into the mystery of the night.
What was that? The question hung in the air, unanswered, as the group exchanged nervous glances. Each of them was hoping someone else had an explanation, but none came.
Just a bird, relax. Derek's attempt to reassure his friends fell flat. His voice, usually so confident, wavered slightly, betraying his own unease.
Derek, ever the skeptic, dismissed it. He prided himself on being the rational one, the one who didn't believe in ghost stories or supernatural tales. But tonight, even he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. But his voice lacked its usual confidence. The whistle was unlike anything he'd heard before. It was too precise, too intentional. The whistle was unlike anything he'd heard before. It was as if someone or something was out there, watching them playing a game. It sounded again, closer this time. The group tensed, their eyes scanning the darkness, trying to pinpoint the source of the sound. A clear, two-tone whistle, deliberate. It was almost as if it was calling to them, inviting them to come closer to uncover its source. Derek felt a surge of bravado, fueled by a potent mixture of fear and adrenaline. He couldn't let his friends see how scared he was. He had to be the brave one, the leader. He whistled back, mimicking the sound. It was a challenge, a way to confront whatever was out there.
Derek, stop it! Chloe's voice was sharp, filled with a mix of fear and anger. She didn't want to provoke whatever was out there.
Chloe and Liam stared at him, horrified. They couldn't understand why he was doing this, why he was tempting fate. But Derek was already whistling again, louder this time, challenging the unknown. He felt a strange sense of power, as if by whistling he could control the situation. Louder this time, challenging the unknown. He regretted it the moment the answering whistle came back. Closer still, mimicking his every note. He regretted it the moment the answering whistle came back. Closer still, mimicking his every note. It was as if the forest itself was alive, responding to his call. It was no bird. It was something else, something that understood their fear and was feeding off it, something that was toying with them. The forest, once a place of adventure and fun, had turned into a realm of shadows and whispers where the unseen whistler held all the power. The whistling was very close now, moving between the trees. A sense of dread settled over them like a shroud. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, the flames of the campfire dying down as if starved of oxygen.
Derek, I think we should go.
Liam's voice was tight with fear, but Derek was beyond listening. He was fixated on the darkness beyond the firelight, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel eyes on him, cold and calculating. Then a shape moved in the shadows. It was tall and slender, almost impossibly so, and it moved with an unnatural fluidity. It was too dark to make out any features, but Derek could sense it was watching them, studying them. The whistling stopped. The silence was deafening. Chloe whimpered, burying her face in Liam's shoulder. Liam, his face pale, started gathering their things, his movements jerky and frantic.
Come on, Derek, let's get out of here.
But Derek didn't move. He couldn't. He was rooted to the spot, his gaze locked on the figure in the darkness. It took a step closer and Derek could have sworn he heard a low, guttural growl emanating from it. Then, in a blink, Derek was gone. One moment he was there, the next he was swallowed by the darkness. Chloe screamed. Liam spun around, searching for his friend, his heart hammering against his ribs.
Derek, where are you?
His voice echoed unanswered in the stillness of the woods. Liam's blood ran cold. Standing by the edge of the firelight was Derek, but something was wrong, terribly wrong.
His eyes, once warm and full of life, were now completely white, devoid of pupils. A chilling grin stretched across his face, a grotesque parody of his usual carefree smile. And his shadow stretched out behind him, long and distorted, as if it had a life of its own. "Derek?" Liam choked out, his voice barely a whisper.
The thing that wore Derek's skin took a step closer. The grin widened, revealing teeth that were too sharp, too long.
"Did you miss me?" The thing hissed, its voice a raspy imitation of Derek's.
Chloe screamed again, a primal sound of pure terror. Her voice echoed through the dense forest, bouncing off the trees and reverberating back to them, amplifying the fear that gripped her heart. The darkness seemed to close in tighter with every scream, as if the forest itself was alive and feeding off her terror.
Liam grabbed her hand, pulling her away from the fire, away from the thing that had been their friend. His grip was firm, almost painful, but it was the only thing grounding her in that moment of sheer panic. The fire crackled behind them, casting eerie shadows that danced and flickered, making the forest seem even more menacing.
They ran blindly through the dark, branches whipping at their faces, the sound of their own ragged breathing echoing in their ears. Every step was a struggle, the uneven ground threatening to trip them up. The forest was a maze of shadows and sounds, each one more terrifying than the last. They didn't know where they were going, only that they had to get away. The thing that was once Derek didn't chase them, didn't need to. It stood there, a dark silhouette against the flickering firelight, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. It was as if it knew they couldn't escape, that the forest itself would conspire to keep them trapped. It simply stood at the edge of the clearing, watching them, its laughter echoing through the trees. The sound was chilling, a twisted mockery of human joy. It was a sound that would haunt their dreams for years to come, a reminder of the night they faced true horror.
As they fled, a voice, raspy and chilling, whispered through the trees. "The whistling. It's a warning. You should have listened." The words sent a shiver down their spines, a final reminder of the danger they had narrowly escaped. It was a warning that would stay with them. A lesson learned too late.
Liam and Chloe didn't stop running until they burst out of the forest, gasping for breath, their clothes torn, their faces streaked with tears and dirt. They collapsed on the ground, their bodies shaking with exhaustion and relief. The night was still around them, the only sound their labored breathing and the distant echo of that haunting laughter. Behind them, Blackwood Forest loomed, dark and silent, holding its secrets close. It was a place of ancient mysteries and untold horrors, a place that had claimed many before them. They had escaped, but they knew they would never be free of its shadow. The forest had marked them, and its warning would echo in their hearts forever. They never saw Derek again. The authorities searched, but the forest seemed to have swallowed him whole. No trace of him was ever found. No backpack, no phone, no sign of a struggle. Just an empty campsite and a lingering sense of unease that permeated the very air. Liam and Chloe tried to move on, to forget the horrors they had witnessed. But the memory of that night, the whistling, the eyes in the darkness, the grotesque grin of the doppelganger, haunted their every waking moment. Blackwood Forest had claimed another victim, and the whistling, they knew, was just the beginning. It was a lure, a siren song, drawing the unsuspecting to their doom. Weeks later, miles away from Blackwood, in a bustling city filled with the sounds of life and traffic, Liam sat by his window, unable to shake the feeling of dread that clung to him like a shroud. He looked out at the cityscape, the comforting glow of streetlights pushing back the night. It was a far cry from the oppressive darkness of Blackwood Forest, but the fear lingered. He thought he was safe here. He thought he had outrun the nightmare. He was wrong. A faint, almost imperceptible sound reached his ears. A whistle, two clear, deliberate notes.
He whirled around, his heart pounding in his chest, but there was nothing there. Had he imagined it? He wasn't sure.
He went to the window, peering out at the street below. Nothing. Just the usual city sounds. The distant hum of traffic, the occasional honk of a car horn, and the faint murmur of people going about their lives. It was a typical night in the city, or so it seemed. He was being paranoid, he told himself. It was just the wind. But deep down, a cold, gnawing fear told him otherwise, the kind of fear that grips you in the dead of night, making every shadow seem like a lurking threat. He tried to shake it off, but the feeling persisted, growing stronger with each passing second. The whistling was a warning. The entity, the thing that had taken Derek, it was playing with them, toying with them. And it wasn't done yet. The memory of Derek's disappearance was still fresh in his mind. One moment Derek was there, laughing and joking, and the next he was gone, swallowed by the darkness. The whistling had been there that night too, a haunting melody that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. He turned away from the window, his gaze falling on a forgotten picture of him, Chloe and Derek. They looked so happy, so carefree, so Unaware of the darkness that lurked just beyond the frame, the photograph was cracked, the glass splintered, as if it too had been touched by the malevolent force that had taken Derek. He picked it up, tracing the lines of their smiling faces with a trembling finger. The whistling started again. Closer this time, Liam's blood ran cold. He was out of time. The sound was no longer distant. It was right outside his door, a chilling tune that sent shivers down his spine. He backed away, his heart pounding in his chest, every instinct screaming at him to run, to hide, but he knew there was no escape. The whistling, he now knew, wasn't a warning, it was an invitation, and it was coming for him next. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. This was it, the endgame, the entity had marked him, and there was no turning back. He could feel its presence, a cold, suffocating force that seemed to wrap around him, squeezing the air from his lungs. The whistling grew louder, more insistent, and he knew that whatever was out there, it was coming for him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it.